Dare we dream the impossible? A big following from Wakey suggests the fans are starting to get excited too. Well, look, you can only beat what's in front of you.
There was a big following from Wakey, then there must have been sod all Salford fans on at this one.
Which is hardly surprising, because their fare for the last 12 weeks has been utter garbage, hasn't it? So it's,
Why do you put a Salford game up against an England football match when you know half them idiots were more bothered in the round ball game in that neck of the woods?
I know, it's not like they got the money's worth out of the round ball game, is it, until the last 5 minutes. Anyway, so look, whilst Wakey can only beat what's in front of them, this is a big win asterisk, because Salford are terrible, but Wakefield keep winning games, they keep playing a nice brand of rugby league, they could very well get into the, Well, it's not beyond the realms, is it, to see them in the semis?
The favourite for the semis, they're in pole position, and they've got the main opposition to play yet. So, you've got to give them and at home.
Yeah.
Home games against the main opposition. You've got to give them the lead in that race. I mean, it wasn't a complete blowout at half time, and with Salford getting that sort of early Craig Kopchak try, and that sort of looked like what Salford were doing earlier in the year, kind of winning the forward battle, winning the middle, and getting like barge over tries because they'd out-muscled and drained their opponent.
Yeah.
But they've got no depth in that front row. Weller Haraki started in the front row, and Olsi Krasnicki was coming off the bench. Now they're two players who played at the back of the scrum predominantly this year, not the front row. So they're probably not used to as many carries, as much kind of bossing the other team. Whereas Trinity started with the biggest men. They put, I think it was England and Earth started. Now that's two blokes who just run at you, and it's just tiring to get them down.
Yeah.
And then when you bring Fafita on off the back of that, no, it's not a surprise the game swung around for me with the tactics they employed.
Just some real size on that Wakey. Fafita, Hubie and Anakin are going to cause problems at interchange, aren't they?
Yeah, and a good 250th game in Super League for Craig Hubie. And like the halfbacks got a lot of plaudits out of this game. The reviews I've read and the bits I've heard and the bits I've seen, and Miller was crucial again. I mean, imagine they wouldn't even be having we might not even be having a talk about whether they're in the four. We might be talking about whether they're finishing second or third if Miller hadn't have been missed so many games, and they tanked a little bit for a spell there towards the back end of the regular season. Because absolutely crucial. And then obviously Tyler Randall coming in right at the right time. I mean, the latest deadline day signing of the season. But get the registrations in, even if you're not sure if you've got the players, lads. That's the motto.
Well, there you go, and it worked for them, didn't it? He's not sat twiddling his thumbs in Australia. But it's a perfect time for someone like Tyler Randall to come in and reinvigorate that squad and reignite, not that they need reigniting, but kind of just add that bit of effervescence to an already bubbling outfit.
He must like it as well, coming into a side where you've got two half-backs who are very confident in the positions and controlling the way the games are going for their side, and some big forwards who are playing well. And, they've got the luxury of leaving some big men out, Wakefield have. That's what you've got to say is impressive for them. And so when you've got someone like Miller, who's very skillful, very talented, as long as he's got a bit of space and time... as long as you protect him from getting roughed up, he's gonna do stuff to teams, and he did in this game with kicks or getting on the end of stuff or putting people through gaps. Loads of involvement in all the scores. Tyler Randall's tries did look a little bit easy. Not to take anything away from him, because he obviously had a good game.
It takes scoring, and he played well, didn't he?
But bloody hell, they looked easy.
Yeah.
And that's a worry for Salford that they're obviously gone. And the comments from Watson after the game were damning.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly so. And it's hard to, at least he gets, at least he's getting out in front of it and kind of making those statements publicly as well. That's got to, that's all he can do, really, isn't it? He can't stick his head in the sand anymore. Is he in danger of losing his job?
I think that's kind of why he came out with the comments he came out with.
Because we've been big fans of Ian Watson on the show, haven't we? And the start of the season, when things were clicking for them, we laid a lot of the praise at this young coach's feet. And I don't like to pull the rug out from under people, but if you're going to lay the praise there, I'm looking at this Salford lineup, and whilst we're saying that they were missing people, there's still in this Salford lineup that's, a group of really, really talented players. Let me scroll down to it. Okay, so yes, Haraki had to start in the front row, and yes, they were lacking a little bit in terms of the interchange bench, but Ben Murdoch was still playing. Tyrone McCarthy is an NRL player with some experience. Tompkins is a more than able...
Tyrone McCarthy got one game off the bench in the NRL. Let's not talk about too much.
He played in the NRL.
He's played lower grade games all year.
And we bum him in Super League, so he's good enough. He's
good enough, but raising his intensity, I'm not sure about.
Look at the backs though, right? O'Brien, Johnson, Wellham, Sal, Vatuvai, Louis and Carney. There's class throughout that back line.
And it's people like Carney and people like Murdoch Masilla and people like that these comments, I'm guessing, are aimed at.
Absolutely.
Without him naming names.
Well, that's who exactly. So, what is going on behind closed doors, because it's not just a squad depth thing for me.
And that's why Watson's getting out in front of it, like you say, because I think he's saying... He said, like, we've trained so well these last few weeks. We've been training as well as we've trained all year, and then we get to games and people don't put the shifts in. And he's basically saying it's not on me, because what can I do more? But now I'm calling you lot out publicly, because at this stage I'm fed up of you not playing for me.
Yeah.
So the job isn't done,
no.
Because I need you to prove that your calibre of being in this team next year to get us the next step up. Because we've gone a step up this year. Well done. That was great. We patted ourselves on the back. This is not good enough now for taking another step up next year at this stage. That's what he's ultimately saying. And I think coming out and doing that probably does save his job until at least,
well, they won't get rid of him now.
Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, fair play. What did the stats tell us on this one, though?
Well, errors and poor tackling were factors for Salford slipping to a 7th consecutive Super League defeat. 6 more errors than Wakey and a 3.5% worse team tackle success. Trin, who deserve lots of credit for how they played, they made 6 breaks to 3 and 150 more metres, and look, all the part of a team that's now got the final component in maybe as well, with a dynamic player at hooker. And some competition for places. I'm worried. Well, from a Wigan perspective, I'm worried that we've lost our chance for 4th because of all the poor play earlier this season. Because Wakefield have timed it better than we have.
They are timing the run, aren't they? There you go. Individually, who stood out for us? A lot of names we've already said, I suppose.
Jacob Miller, 2 tries, 2 try assists. Tyler Randall on debut with 2 tries, 5 tackle busts, 128 metres, 2 clean breaks. Reece Lynn with 112 metres. And David Fafita, 9 tackle busts and 113 metres.
Fantastic.
Then for the losing Red Devils, it was Tyrone McCarthy with a try assist and 40 tackles, who deserves credit there, so that's your man. Chris Brining, 41 tackles. Manu Vatuvai, 106 metres.
Okay, so... Friday evening down at the Totally Wicked Stadium, one of the great Rugby League derbies, St Helens versus Wigan. It finished 16 points to 26 in favour of your world champion Wigan Warriors, in front of 15,248, refereed by Robert Hick.
Pretty good crowd that, I think, actually.
It's exceptional.
Jim Man Bearpig said, shit sandwich.
Short and to the point. Christmas got in touch and said, decent that. O'Loughlin was superb, and it's good to see Tompkins' performance is getting better and better.
Aidan Stalker said, I guess that's that for this season. I approached the season with low expectations, but I'm still a bit disappointed. Holbrook has done well, but got it wrong changing the halves while also the fullback. I doubt it would have got us to the win, though, as Wigan were just better. Barber did as well as can be expected. The hype was a little ridiculous. Can Wigan swap Gildart for Sargentson? That boy is a talent.
Oh, there you go. Okay, St David said, bugger. Wigan started both halves with greater intensity and were clinical. Lockers was immense. Defence has been the foundation of our season, such as it is, and even that went AWOL. Didn't number up right for 2 of the pie tries, as our new spine failed to organise us. The usual shit calls, brackets ISA, should have walked the dirty git, not even a pen.
Yeah, that's the only shit call, Dave. Fucking hell.
Well, we'll get to this because you'll have been, though. You were there, weren't you? Glimpses from Barber. Smith is hopeless. Season over. Ho hum.
The ISA should have gone in the bin for me. I don't think it... On reflection, I don't think it was as bad as it looked at the time.
Right.
Because he came in from a bit of a distance and it looked like he absolutely clattered him at the time. But actually, he did sort of slow himself down and angle his tackle to the back of the knees as much as he could at that stage, but it was still unnecessary, still should have gone in the bin, and that would have been the right call. He would have come out of the bin just in time to make that unbelievable tackle on Alex Walmsley in the second half. Though.
There you go.
Tyler Casvan said, Saints started slowly and poorly, so they were playing catch-up for the rest of the game. Wigan were on great form and would probably have beaten any team on the night. Strong in defence and much better in attack than we've seen for most of the season. O'Loughlin and Tompkins were on top form and were the difference.
David Pye got in touch, one of your favourites, well, one of our favourites, I should say. He says, great atmosphere, intense game.
Man.
Yeah, that's why I say he's one of your favourites. Whilst I can appreciate it from an aesthetic point of view, it doesn't quite send me as misty eyed as it does you. He says, though, great atmosphere, intense game, but Wigan, despite the local complaints, were best in all departments. Ref was generous at times, but wouldn't have affected the result. Watched the highlights after, and surprisingly, Saints were probably closer than I thought live. Had they taken their chances, it could have been close. Wigan very tough and really do execute chances well. That's a big plus for them if they get a top 4 spot. I think they can do it.
And Brian Davies said, I hope Saints play like that on Thursday.
Yeah, it could be another big win for
Trin.
A big win for Trin. Right, well, you were at the game, mate. I'm wearing my This Week in League hoodie this week, but you were wearing yours to the game.
Yeah,
what did you make of
second half when it cooled down a bit, when it was chill in the air.
It chilled off. So, talk us through it then.
Kind of similar to Dave, at the game it felt like Wigan were miles better than Saints. Watching it back, Saints wasted a couple, well, not wasted, but blew a couple of opportunities, and most importantly for Saints getting things wrong in this game, they didn't capitalise on the fact that Wigan were absolutely gassed for the last 10 minutes. That was when they couldn't get a handle on things. Yeah. Whereas Wigan, like was said, really started the game well, really started the second half well as well, and that kind of good work probably meant that Saints were also a little bit tired, maybe mentally rather than physically, in the last 20 minutes of the game, because Wigan had beaten them at that point. Wigan in the second half had hardly any territory and possession and position and stuff, it felt like, but scored 2 tries back to back, and scored when they did get their chances, which kind of was not what Saints were able to do. Tompkins putting that great tackle on Regan Grace and Percival is a really good strike attack, but
has holes in it defensively.
Lots of mistakes though as well with the ball. They get so many opportunities because they're both so gifted, like in terms of the fluidity and the talent and the skill. Yeah. But at the same time, possibly Percival gets too much put on him by the Saints attack, the way it's structured, but they just weren't able to execute. But great tackle by Tompkins on Grace there. I think Tompkins had also stopped the possibility of the inside pass when he kind of did his stutter on his run across, forced Grace into going for the corner, and then absolutely nailed that tackle. And then late on in the second half, there was, I think, a break by Makinson, maybe it was, and the ball kind of got fumbled around and ended up with Wigan when Saints looked like a promising attacking threat. But Saints threw a lot of aimless offloads to blokes who then just ran sideways for a bit, threw another offload, and Wigan were composed at defending that rather than rushing out into anything and opening up gaps, which you'd think a tired side would have done. It shows how well drilled defensively Wigan have become since they messed up defensively at Leeds in the first round of the Super 8. And in attack, when they did have the opportunities, and they didn't have loads because the forwards weren't punishing with the ball for Wigan, other than Sean O'Loughlin, who was absolutely massive. The forwards weren't punishing in terms of making ground, so didn't have loads and loads of opportunities, Wigan, but the opportunities they had, they took all of them really well. And Oliver Gildart, absolute talent, like people have said. George Williams takes his chances, does good stuff, and all of that. And I just think Wigan were the better team on the day.
Okay. So one of the big stories of the evening, though, prior to kick-off, of course, was the inclusion of Ben Barber in the Saints lineup, making his debut for St Helens. How do you think he went?
Well, I was shocked that Farge wasn't put on the bench just in case things didn't go right in the halves, even though Lomax wasn't terrible and Smith just shifted the ball around, really. First off, Smith's kicking was great. He put two or three kicks right on the goal line. Yeah. One of them Percival knocked on, one of them Percival was adjudged to tackle in the air, which I think was a bit harsh, but it's the way those decisions are going. If you make any sort of contact after the catch has been made, they can forget about the competing that went on before that and give the penalty. Right. And one that the Wigan defence took really well and managed to get into the field of play. So I don't think Smith was as terrible as some of the Saints fans will think he was. But I was surprised Farge wasn't put on the bench as another option, because he has played pretty well this year and he's a good attacking weapon, isn't he, close to the line.
Certainly. Because
Lomax was getting back into that position. He was all over the place in attack. It was too unstructured from Lomax, doing support position, kind of finding himself any which where. I don't think the combination had time to work well enough, because Lomax is a very talented player. Barber did as well as can be expected. I don't think he was terrible. I think Tompkins was the better fullback of the two defensively by a distance, but he was probably putting the best defensive fullback performance of the weekend.